Hi, good evening all. This is Prithviraj Bose. Welcome to today's webinar. And today's topic is the Agile way with PMI-ACP. I'm I am so I know that a lot of you are aspiring to be PMI-ACP certified, and this webinar is going to answer all your questions. That what it takes to pass the PMI-ACP exam. So I'm going to tell you something about Agile very briefly. And also, we're going to talk about the exam in detail. Okay, so let's start. Okay, folks. So there we go. Now, here is an introduction about myself. As I said, my name is Prithviraj Bose, and I have been working in companies like Cisco and NDS, Wiser Telecom, Lehman Brothers, and I was one of the chief implementers of Tata Sky and Airtel solutions. So whatever you see the direct to home broadcast systems for Tata Sky and Airtel, and also other digital broadcast systems around the world. So I was one of the implementers for that. Okay, and I'm currently engaged in consulting and training in the areas of TDD, ATTD, emerging design, refactoring, then REST API design, Elasticsearch, and my programming languages are Java, C++, Python. And I use a lot of design patterns and solid principles, while developing software. So that's about me. Now, okay, so what are you going to learn today? What are we going to touch upon? So first we're going to talk about the Agile philosophy and principles, and I'm just going to briefly touch upon that just to rehash, some fundamentals. Then we're going to talk about the PMI-ACP exam and how PMI-ACP certification helps, a particular prospective candidate, and the eligibility requirements for the exam, and also the application process. Good. Okay. So in any creative thing, in any creative process, there are always two fundamental questions we need to ask: that are we building right things, and are we building the thing right? Okay. So the first thing, when I say that are we building right things, we mean that are we doing something which the market needs or which somebody needs? So that is one question we are going to answer. We have to find the answer. And the second one, of course, is are we building the things right? Which means that, does it work correctly? Does it meet the user expectations? That's very, very important. Okay. And, throughout the tradition, coming to the context of software development, these two questions, have been, plaguing people for quite some time. Okay. I see a lot of people joining. Okay, just a quick poll. I hope all of you can hear me. Can I just quickly type yes, 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 yes like that? Saying that all of you can hear me. Am I loud and clear? Okay, excellent, excellent, great. Okay, so you haven't missed much. So what I was doing is I just previously in my previous slide I just said what are the things we are going to cover. And things like Agile philosophy, the what about about the PMI-ACP exam, how the certification helps, what do you need, what are the eligible criteria, the requirements for the exam, and also the application process. So that's what I touched upon. And this is my first slide, and what I was saying is that in any creative process, there are three questions which help people, which we should always ask ourselves: that are we building the right things? Are we building something which the market needs, which somebody needs, or are we building it for ourselves? And the next question is, are we building it right? Is it working correctly? Is it meeting the user expectations, or whoever is using the product of your creative process? So this is the central challenge, and in the context of software industry, these two questions have been plaguing people for quite some time, and there have been plethora of processes which was trying to answer this question. You had waterfall, you have rapid application development, you had agile, you had lean. All of them are basically trying to answer or trying to find ways to these two fundamental questions. Okay, so let's see how Agile answers these two questions. Okay, now one caveat I want to tell you is that some of us have a tools mentality, that when we look at a problem, we immediately search for the tool. rather than understanding the problem in the context and trying to find the right tool, we already have the tool and we try to fit that tool in that particular problem context. Now, there's a famous saying that, with a hammer in the hand, every problem looks like a nail. So, we get very straight-laced. It becomes a vision where we only, see the problem from the perspective of the tool. Now, let me tell you, Agile is not a tool, okay? Agile is a philosophy. It's a mindset. And that's something which you should get it right. Because if you don't get the Agile philosophy right, no matter what you do, I don't think you're going to get success, okay? So it's very important you change your mindset, you understand the philosophy, and then look at the problem and try to find the right tool rather than doing it the other way, okay? So what are the Agile philosophy? What are the basic tenets of this philosophy? Okay, by the way, when if you have any questions, you can just pop in your questions. I'll try to answer it as I go along. And also, by the way, I suggest that you pay attention to what I'm saying rather than reading the slides, because that's going to distract your attention. So I suggest that just sit back and listen to what I'm saying. If you have any questions, just pop them. And just for people who joined late, this is my introduction here. My name is Prithviraj Bose. And later on, you can go through my brief professional resume here. Okay, so the basic tenets of Agile philosophy. It says that the Agile philosophy stresses a lot of importance on individuals and interactions over processes and tools. Okay, so processes and tools are important, but we stress more on individuals and interactions because that's what it makes or breaks. Okay. And we place a lot of emphasis on working software over comprehensive documentation. People who have worked on projects, we know how much time, and how much energy we waste on, writing documents, which I doubt anybody reads, and we spend a lot of time writing document, and we find that these documents up to, not up to the date. And then what we do is, we don't get time to go back and again, revise the document. So the documents, becomes out of date. They are not relevant or out of context. But Agile says that give more stress on the working software, because when somebody sees something working, that is the best documentation. If you want to show how a feature works, just show it. Just show the feature working, rather than asking the person to go through page after page of documentation. Thirdly, it stresses a lot on customer collaboration rather than on contract negotiation, which means that customer is a part of the team. Usually, in our traditional business, customer is on the other side, which is not the case. The moment the customer is on the other side, it becomes a contract negotiation game. But what we do in Agile, we try to bring the customer into the team. It becomes a part of the team, and we start collaborating. And the last tenet is that responding to change over following a plan. Okay, we know how sacrosanct our Gantt charts are. So what we say is that, hey, look, Gantt charts are there, it's fine, but let's not think that this Gantt chart is carved on stone. Okay, so things change. Business. If you see the business environment today, it is extremely volatile. Things change. Requirements change. Users' preferences change, and we have to be responsive to that change rather than saying, hey, look, this is what we agreed to, and this is what we are going to do. This is not going to work in the Agile world. Okay, so please embrace change, and that's the best way to go forward. Just make sure that whatever we are doing is useful to people, and we are also making useful to ourselves. And here is a website. You can just visit this offline to see their manifesto in action. Great, so let's move on. Okay, the Agile Principles. Now let's pay attention to the left side of the screen. That's the classic waterfall. That's what we have been doing maybe, for quite some time, where what we do is, each stage is a distinct phase in the software development. So first we sit and gather requirements, then we, do the software design, and then we code, then we test, and then we get into a maintenance phase. Now, the problem with this approach is that, suppose we are in the design phase, and given the dynamic, situation in the world, if the requirements change, then we say that, hey, look, I've already designed. I cannot change the requirements. If you change the requirements, I have to again design, or maybe if you're coding, you say, look, man, so many things have been done. I cannot embrace the change now. So that's one classic problem, of waterfall, where the problems are keeps compounding as you go down the stages, and this is the biggest problem of waterfall. And what waterfall does is, it tries to eliminate uncertainty by planning upfront. So what we do is we get hold of all the requirements, and we then design, then we code. So basically, what are we doing? We are trying to eliminate uncertainty. That's all. But let me tell you, the world is full of uncertainty, and you cannot eliminate uncertainty. You have to embrace uncertainty, and that's what iterative development or agile or lean or Kanban, whatever it is, that's what it embraces. And you have to embrace uncertainty and plan around that. So what it does is, in iterative development, you take a cycle, and in that cycle, you do everything rather than doing it in phases. You collect requirements, you do the design, you quickly do the implementation, you test, you evaluate, and then you move on to the next cycle. So in the same cycle, you are designing what the requirements are, and you are implementing what you have designed, you are testing what you have implemented, and you are evaluating and demoing what you have developed. Simple as that. Rather than taking all the requirements and trying to do the design, just take a snapshot of what is most important to the customer and start doing this. Once you're done, you go to the next phase and follow the same cycle. And these cycles usually span from 1 week to 4 weeks. I personally recommend, 2 to 3 weeks. I have personally worked on sprints which are 1 week, and maximum of 3 weeks. But don't go beyond 4 weeks, because the problem is that the more, timeline you give to yourself, the more buffer creeps in, and that's not good for a project. Okay, just make sure that you keep your time limited so that you know exactly what you're doing and you have good visibility. Say for example, if you ask me that what am I going to do tomorrow, I am more certain rather than if you ask me what are you going to do next Friday or 2 weeks from now. Well, my answer will be very uncertain. But if you ask me in a short time horizon, definitely, my answer is going to be more precise. And that's one of the philosophies why you keep the cycles as short as possible. Clear so far? So what happens here is that, it embraces uncertainty, and the consequence of that is we can inspect and adapt. So if something goes wrong in the cycle, we immediately know, okay, this is working or this is not working, and we quickly adapt ourselves. And in the next cycle, we make sure that, we don't repeat the mistake. Rather than waiting for months and discovering a mistake, I think we can just correct it if we just know it within a week's time. So that's the Agile principles. Clear so far, folks? So do you have any questions for me? Can I have a quick poll? Is it okay? I mean, can I proceed? Okay, great. So let me move on. Okay. So now let's come to the exam. Okay. So once you get this degree, PMI-ACP, this is the certificate you're going to get, and your name is going to be written on it, and with the authorized signatories here, and it's going to say that when from when it starts and when it expires. So it's usually 3 years. The certificate is valid, and and after the end of the third year, you have to renew again. So those things I'll touch upon later. Okay, so the PMI exam, it's based on 12 books. Okay, that's pretty big. It covers a huge breadth. And if you go through this link here, you'll get the list of all the books which are necessary for the preparing of the exam. Now, if you have a considerable experience, if you have been in this industry for quite some time, and then in all probability, I feel that out of these 12 books, maybe half of them you've already read or you've heard about. So reading them won't be a big deal. But I recommend that you quickly go through them. Or there is also another book by Mike Griffiths where he condenses all the matter from these 12 books. So you can go through that book also. But this is the material, the reference material for the exam. Okay, and sorry. And once you're certified, as I said before, this particular certificate is valid for 3 years. And if you want to continue beyond 3 years, you have to get something called PDUs. It's called Professional Development Unit. So you need 30 PDUs to extend it for another 3-year period. And here one PDU corresponds to one professional hour, one 1 hour of some activity related to Agile. Now, what are these activities? It can be any training, it can be anything which you studied yourself or you took up a course related to Agile, and you have a list of all those things. If you go through the PMI-ACP handbook, you will find the list of activities which can be used to earn your PDUs. If you have any specific question on the PDU, please pop in. Okay, so this is about the books which you have, and I can just quickly I can click on this link here, and it will show you the list of all the books which you have here. So these are the books which you should read, and most of them are available online. You can just search and help yourself. Okay, so moving on. So the next question is, why should I do PMI-ACP? Now, how it's going to help me? Well, let me tell you my experience. If you look into the industry, you will see that there are a lot of certification courses available, like certified Scrum Master or certified Product Owner. Now, I personally feel they are not very good, because the way it happens is you go for a 1-day workshop or a 2-day workshop, and at the end of the workshop, somebody goes through tons of slides, and at the end of the workshop, they just hand out a certificate to you. So even if in those 2 days, if you were attentive or if you were sleeping, it really doesn't matter. So end of the day, end of the workshop, you just get a certificate. So it's as good as buying a certificate. So there is no rigor, at the end of, getting that certificate, you won't have a sense of achievement that, okay, hey, what did I do? I just sat here and I listened to a guy, and I'm getting a certificate. And now in LinkedIn and in my resume, I'm going to write certified Scrum Master or certified Product Owner. Now, I personally feel, that's not very effective, because I think we all should earn it. After getting something, we should feel that, oh, hey, I really worked, I really slugged, and I earned it. I earned my bread. So that's the rigor you get, in PMI-ACP, because there's a lot of preparation which goes in, a lot of rigor, and at the end of this process, you learn a lot of things, rather than just sitting and watching. So that's from the personal gain. You get a lot of rigor, and it helps you to build your personality. Because professional life, I'm telling you from my experience, is just the tip of the iceberg. End of the day, it's about our personality. It's about our charisma. It's about our knowledge, which contributes to our personal lives, to our professional lives. And we have to ensure that all these things, we are, end of the day, building ourselves as people. So that's from the personal front. On the professional side, obviously, you're going to know a lot of aspects of implementing Agile in an organization. You will exactly know how to go about, and then you have to use your knowledge and your wits to implement it. And it gives you a good structure, because knowledge, if it is not very structured, it becomes very haphazard. Like a lot of things, but you really don't know where to apply what. So this this PMI-ACP gives you a very good structure, and you know exactly how to go about doing a project. What are the artifacts you need? How should you plan daily or for a sprint? How should you go about doing the product backlog? Everything you learn, it gives you a very good structure. And also, so as a consequence of it, once you do good and once you start performing well, you build confidence of people on you. So customers are confident on you, your colleagues are confident on you, and more importantly, you are confident about yourself. Because unless we are confident about ourselves, I don't think anybody can have confidence in us. So the first thing is we have to build confidence in ourselves, and that will be reflected in the confidence of others in us. So that's how PMI-ACP is going to help you. So go ahead with that. Okay, now we come to the eligibility requirements. Okay, what do we need? Educational background. Okay, I'm assuming that everybody is from India, and you need to just have a high school degree or diploma. That's class 12 or the 12th grade. You have to have that. In addition to that, you should have a general project experience of around 12 months or 2,000 hours in the last 5 years. So that means if you're appearing for the exam in 2015, from 2001 onwards, you should have worked, you should have general project experience of at least 12 months or 2,000 hours. And also you should have the Agile project experience of at least 8 months or 1500 hours in the last 3 years. That means 2012 onwards. You should have worked on an Agile project for at least 8 months. And this is in addition to the general project experience. So basically, net, you need 12 months of general project experience and 8 months of Agile project experience, okay? So 20 months of solid project experience. And they cannot overlap, okay? A lot of people ask me, can they overlap? Okay, I was working in one project, which is a general project. I was working on another project, which was an Agile project. So that won't happen, overlapping is not allowed. So it has to be serial. So just make sure that, you are doing that. And obviously you need 21 hours of, this contact program, which Edureka provides, and a lot of other organizations are there, which provides this 21 hours of, certificate that you attended an Agile course, and you can use that certificate in your application process. Okay, so any questions so far? Do you have any questions for me? So far, so good. Okay, I think Poonam, you had a question. Yes, ma'am. What is the process to submit the hours of projects? Okay, great, Poonam. Thank you for your question. What I'll do is that's the next thing which I'm going to cover. Okay, when I talk about the application process, I'm going to tell you how to go about that. Okay. Okay, Jaya, you have a question, Jaya. Please go ahead. Jaya, you can ask your question. Okay, Jaya, till you frame your question, let's move on. Once you have a question, you can just pop it in and I'll be glad to answer it. Now, the next slide talks about the application process. Now, if you look at the application form, what happens is in the application form, you fill in your biodata, who you are, what's your date of birth, what's your experience, where have you been working, things like that. And also your project experience. So you have to mention the dates on the projects which you worked on in the general project experience category. And in the agile project experience category, you have to also mention from the duration and the projects you worked on, and also the organizations in which you worked. So there is a separate section where you mention all these things. So it's the duration, the project which you worked on, the brief description of the project, as well as the organization in which you did the project. So that goes in the general experience, and the same format is in the agile project experience. So that you fill in. Is that okay, Poonam? So that's what you have to do. Poonam, I have okay, great. So I have answered your question. If you have any questions, just feel free to ask. Don't please hesitate. I'll be glad to answer it. And what happens is, and it's an online process. You don't have to do a paper-based processing. So it's a completely an online form. You fill it up and you pay the fees. I think now it's around between $450 to $500 US dollars. So you pay that and then you submit the process, the application. And it takes around a week's time, to get this application process done. And once it is done, then what happens is randomly, your application is selected for audit. Okay, and be ready for this audit. Okay, what happens is your application is selected for an audit, and in that audit, what happens is they ask you for some documents. Your documents like your last degree, whatever you mentioned there, your certificate for that 21 hours contact program, and also, there is a form where whatever projects you have mentioned, so that project, somebody working in that project should sign that document. So say, for example, I mentioned that while I was working in Cisco, I worked in an agile project for 3 months and this was the project. So in the audit process, they can ask me that, okay, this particular project which you talked about, can you get somebody from that project to sign on this document saying that you really worked on this project? And it can be anyone in the project. It's not necessary it has to be your manager. It can be your colleague, it can be your junior, senior, doesn't matter. Somebody who worked on that project has to sign on it. And it's quite possible that the person who's going to sign is not working in that company anymore. Say, for example, two of us were working in Cisco and we worked on an agile project or any general project. and now we have moved on. Now I have my own firm, and maybe the person who worked with me, now she's running her, her interior decoration business. So, but still, she can vouch for me. So I'll go to her, and I can get her signature, and it has to be a hard copy, and the hard copy she has to sign, and then I have to put it in an envelope, and I have to mail it, and that's going to be a snail mail. You can't scan the document and send it. So you can courier it, or by post, you have to send it to their head office, the PMI head office. I think it's somewhere in, I think in Pennsylvania, in the East Coast of United States. So you have to mail it to them, and that takes around whatever time it takes. And after getting the document, I think within a week's time, week or 2 weeks, they process it and they say, okay, your audit is absolutely fine. So, and you can, and once the audit is approved, they send you a link, and in that link, it's basically a Prometric link. So because you have to take the exam in the Prometric Center, so they send you a link where you go to the Prometric Center, wherever you are, in Hyderabad, Bangalore, Chennai, anywhere, Dallas. You go there and you register and you book a date for your exam. Okay. Okay, now Poonam is asking that, she's asking that, do you mean that for each project, at least one member should sign? Yes, absolutely. So say, for example, I worked on, say, for example, Poonam, for the journal project, I worked on, for the journal experience, I mentioned 3 projects, project A, project B, project C. They will ask me that for project A, B, and C, get somebody from A, B, and C to sign on that document, vouching for you. So yeah, that's a bit of a pain. You have to go and get those guys who worked with you on A, B, or C to sign on your behalf, and you have to mention the contact number and just mail it back. Okay, and don't worry about it, Poonam. It's pretty straightforward, because and best what some of my friends did, they just got their manager's signature. So they just went to the company rather than getting the guys from A, B, or C. That person directly went to his manager and got the signature and just mailed it to PMI, and it worked. It's absolutely fine. Okay, so okay, great. So that's the thing. So once your audit is complete and they find it satisfactory, they will send you a link saying that your audit is approved. Now please go to the Prometric Center, and you please go ahead and register for a date. Okay, and you can go through the Prometric rules. Once you register, I think the date is valid for 1 year, and you can reschedule it as many times as you want, but you have to pay $70 or $80, I think, for every rescheduling. And I think 3 days before the exam, you can't reschedule. I think unless it's an emergency case, a lot forbid something happens, something emergency. If there's an emergency situation, then you can reschedule it, but you have to provide some documents. Say, for example, somebody falls sick or something happens, so they can provide the documentary proof to PMI, and they will consider it. They are very considerate. So that's the thing. Okay, is the application process clear? Do you have any questions? Because I get a lot of questions in this section. So anything on the application process, on the experience, on the audit, please go ahead and ask me. Okay, so let me move on then. Okay, so now let's look at the PMI, the distribution. The PMI from this year onwards, from this summer, they have changed the format, and they have given 7 new domains. And this is the distribution. They have said that, in this, sorry, not 7, 8 domains. No, sorry, 7 domains. In the 7 domains, this is the distribution which is going to be there. So, and this is the approximate distribution which is going to be there. So first, in the domain 1, you have the Agile Principles and Mindset, then you have the Value-Driven Delivery, Stakeholder Management, Team Performance, Adaptive Planning, Problem Detection and Resolution, and then Continuous Improvement of Product, Process, and People. And once you go through the Edureka, if you go through the Edureka material, they discerningly, they cover all these areas, and it's pretty elaborate. So, all your questions will be answered, and they have some great quizzes and tests. So make sure you take those tests and try to get above 90%. That's very important. Okay. And in the evaluation, they don't give you marks. Okay. They give you kind of grades. So, and there are 3 grades, highly proficient, and not proficient. So if you are not proficient, that means, we have, unfortunately, you haven't cleared the exam. Proficient means that, okay, you're proficient, and highly proficient means that, probably you've scored more than 90%. So these are the three things which they mentioned. Okay, no marks, nothing is mentioned. It's just proficient, highly proficient, moderately proficient, not proficient. So these are the three grades which you have there. Okay, and so that's the thing. Okay, and now, let me tell you, so let me talk about some common mistakes. First, I'm telling you from my experience, just make sure that, you read the questions very, very carefully, okay? And because the most of the questions are applied questions, they don't ask you what is this or give you a definition and ask you to find the, the correct definition from the options. What usually happens is that, they give you a lot of situations and you have to map the situations based on the knowledge you have. Now, let me just, and always bear in mind that, when you analyze a caselet, you analyze the caselet in the context of the question rather than from your experience. Okay, if I read a question, I should not think that, okay, yeah, probably this is what I should do, or this is what I did in my last project. Don't do that. That will be dangerous. Just try to analyze the caselet in the context of the problem and see which option fits the best. I've given you a solution here. I'm sorry, a question here. One example, and I find a lot of people making mistakes here. Here the question is, it's a very basic question, okay? Which of the following are the responsibilities of the Scrum Master? The first option says that achieving the initial and the ongoing funding for the project, teaching the product owner how to maximize ROI and the objectives. Third option being responsible for developing the functionality of the product. D, removing the barriers between the customers and the product owner. Now, team, tell me which is the correct answer. Let's do a pop quiz. You can quickly type your answers. Which one do you feel is the correct answer? Which of the following are the responsibilities for the Scrum Master? Come on, hurry up. Let's see. Okay, Shravana, great. Pratap, great. Okay, what about others? Poonam, take a shot. Take a shot. Narasimha, take a shot. Apurv, take a shot. No problem, if it's wrong, no problem, because, I want people to make mistakes, because then the learning is really solid, because when people make mistakes, then that's when we kind of, pay attention and, okay, yeah, this is what I should do in the exam. Okay. Okay, great. So the thing is, the correct answer is C. And I find a lot of people answering D. Okay. Because, most of the times, maybe in seminars or maybe in, on the websites, everywhere we find that the Scrum Master removes barriers. Okay. The Scrum Master is there to remove any barrier for the team. A lot of people write this phrase. I'm confident, you will find it in many websites. They say that the Scrum Master is there to remove the barriers for the team such that the team can work efficiently. Great. I agree. This is the responsibility of the Scrum Master. But there's a small googly here. It is saying that removing the barriers, we immediately read this phrase and we think, yeah, exactly. He removes barriers. So let's go for D. No. Removing the barriers between the customer and the product owner? Certainly not. Certainly not. Because the product owner and, the customer, it's not only between the product owner and the customer, it's basically for the whole team. Had it been the option that, removing the barrier between for the team to, for them to work efficiently, well, that's probably a right answer. But given the options here, I think the best option is that it is C, because the Scrum Master is an evangelist of, I'm so sorry. C is also not the right answer. Okay. Okay, as I said, D is not the answer, because that's the answer which people keep giving. I'm so sorry about it. Even C is not the right answer. Okay. Being responsible for developing the functionality of the product, that's the responsibility of the team, not the responsibility of the Scrum Master. The Scrum Master has zero authority in the team. It's not his responsibility. It's a responsibility of the team, because the team is self-managed and the team commits to the sprint, to the Scrum, and the team is going to deliver. And the product owner is responsible for the product backlog. The team is responsible for the functionality of the product. Okay. just bear in mind, the Scrum Master is not responsible. What the Scrum Master is responsible for is teaching the product owner how to maximize ROI and the objectives. Okay, B is the correct answer. So let me just quickly write B is the correct. Okay, B is the correct answer. Okay, and it won't be A also, because achieving the initial and the ongoing funding for the project, that is the job of the sponsor. Whoever is sponsoring the Agile program, that is the job of that person. So B is the correct answer. And here you see that a lot of our past knowledge immediately kind of prejudiced us from the correct answer. And this is the best example, because most of us work as project managers, or maybe the Scrum Master. Maybe most of you are Scrum Masters, and maybe the organization thinks that you are responsible. Well, it's wrong. Just go and tell the organization that it's not your responsibility. It's a joint responsibility of the team. When we say we are going to develop, we are going to deliver, it is we means the team. Okay, but usually traditionally in organizations, they put all the responsibility on the product owner or the Scrum Master, or maybe the project manager turned Scrum Master, because they want somebody one point contact. Okay, so it depends on the organization culture, but traditionally it's the team who is responsible. Okay, and if there is a failure, it's the failure of the team. Okay, don't fire the Scrum Master or the product owner. Okay, if I think the whole team should be fired. That's what they do in Facebook. If you do a mistake, okay, the whole team get out. So that's what it happens. Okay, great. So, okay, so I know this was a pretty, I think, solid example of how our prejudices, kind of, works against us. So please make sure that your knowledge, whatever you have, or your past experience, is not, crowding your mind from reaching the correct answer. Okay. So removing the barrier. Yeah, I read somewhere Scrum Master removes the barrier. This is the answer. No. Okay, be responsible. No. Maybe in your organization, the Scrum Master is responsible, but that is not what Agile defines. In Agile, the team is responsible. Okay, initial achieve funding and all this stuff, that is the sponsor's job. That is not not the Scrum Master's job. Teaching the product owner how to maximize the return on investment and the objectives of Agile, definitely that's what the Scrum Master does. The Scrum Master is the evangelist of Agile values. Please remember that. Okay, the Scrum Master is the evangelist of Agile values. So it is going to teach not necessarily the product owner, anybody in the team, even the sponsors, how to maximize ROI. And by you may be asking that what do this maximize ROI means? Well, when you go through the course, there is a just a topic on ROI maximization. There are various techniques to do that, and also how you can objectively achieve that. So that's something which you have to master. Okay, so these are the common mistakes, and this is what I find a lot of people doing, and even I did that actually, So, so that because I have 18 years of experience, and as you can imagine, I have a considerable amount of experience, baggage I have in my mind. So that has to be shed. Okay, leave it aside, and just see the problem in the context. Great. So folks, did you find this useful? I'm sure this was an eye opener for all of us, right? So I hope you found it useful. Great. So let's move on. Okay, important links. I think maybe most of you are already aware, but you can go through this handbook here. It gives you all the information, everything about the syllabus, about the question pattern, the distribution of the questions, about PDUs, everything it has. Okay, here you go to this homepage and you will find something called the PMI-ACP handbook, exam guide and reference list. Just download that, and the links are there. You can download it from this homepage. Great. So certification. Okay. Now certification. The thing is, what happens is if you take the Edureka course, one advantage is that you have lifetime access to the LMS. That's the learning management system. Anytime you can come and you can access that, which a lot of other companies don't give. They give you have to buy it for a particular period, like 3 months, 6 months, 9 months, like that. But this one, it's lifelong. You can go there, and it has 24/7 support. You have 3 mock tests, okay, which are full-fledged 120 exams, and I'm going to talk about the exam shortly. So it has 3 mock tests which simulates the exams. And whoever is teaching you is a PMI certified trainer, okay, who he or she will be having considerable experience in this area. And also, it's designed to give you in-depth knowledge about, not necessarily about PMI-ACP exam, that the exam is just a bit of it. As I told you in the beginning of the presentation, end of the day, we have to see how we are building ourselves as individuals, because one of the Agile philosophy says that individuals' interactions over processes and tools. So we have to make sure that we as individuals excel and shine. So that's what this course, targets, that you learn the fundamentals. Okay, now coming to the exam, PMI-ACP is a 3 hours exam. It's completely, it's a computer-based test. So you'll be clicking on the computer, and you'll be given, a pen and paper to do your scribbles. And there are 120 exams, and out of 120 exams, 20 questions are not graded. They are not graded. So only 100 questions are graded. But though, which are those 20 questions which are not graded are randomly distributed across the paper. So you actually don't know that which question is graded, which question is not graded. So that means we pay 100% attention to all the questions. Okay. So make sure that you give your undivided attention to all the 120 questions. Okay. And just make sure that you, and a lot of people ask me that is 3 hours enough? Well, 3 hours is more than enough, more than enough. But given the caselets, a lot of caselets you have, but let me assure you, don't panic. The caselets are, even if they are kind of a paragraph or a short paragraph, but they are pretty, the language is pretty concise. It's not kind of convoluted language where you'll be thoroughly confused. So that's it. So 120 questions, 20 questions are not graded, but they are randomly distributed across the paper, which we don't know. And after you finish the exam, you click on the finish button, and you will be given your score then and there. Okay. So whatever is your score, as I said, you don't get the marks, you get the grades: highly proficient, moderately proficient, and not proficient. So you get that grade, and wherever you are in the Prometric Center, they will give you a printout of that. It's going to be a temporary kind of mark sheet, sort of, which says that you've cleared PMI-ACP exam, congratulations, and this is your grade. And I think in a month's time, or maybe in 2 months, they mail you the certificate to the address which you have given there. So they send the certificate by post. So that's it. That's about the exam. Right. So whatever I was talking today, this presentation as well as this this particular whatever the session, I have recorded this session. So the recording will be available to you also. You can go through it offline whenever you have time. And if you have any questions, queries, feedback, please provide that. At the end of this webinar, you will be given a page. Please give in your questions, your queries, your feedback, and we'll certainly get back to you. Okay. So that brings us to the end of this webinar. So now tell me, team, do you have any more questions for me? Anything which you would like to know, or any additional things you want to ask? This is the time. Okay, Poonam, she's asking that the PMI courseware is going to be revamped from next Feb. Well, actually, the PMI, they're running a pilot right now. The pilot is on the new syllabus, and they are going to make, now it's in a pilot mode. Now from next year, it won't be pilot anymore. It will be mainstream. And this Edureka course, which we are giving right now, it's based on the new syllabus. So, if you go through this course, you'll be ready for the pilot, as well as, you'll be ready for next Feb. So it covers, it's based on the new syllabus. And as I told you, this new syllabus, has this 7 domains, which we cover in detail. So I hope I've answered your question, Poonam. Oh yes, yes. The new it's running as a pilot, right now. So they last time what I heard from PMI, from September, they were planning to roll out the pilot. I think so. Now it's October and middle October. So definitely, it's It's already rolled out, and whatever Edureka is providing is it's based on the new syllabus. So it's all farm fresh, it's absolutely farm fresh stuff. Go for that. Okay, any more questions? Anything you want to know? It's not necessary, whether it's there in the PPT or not. Anything which comes to your mind, which you think is relevant for ACP, ask me. Okay, Poonam is asking what other options like ACP. Okay, as I told you in my webinar, there are other certifications also like Certified Scrum Master and Certified Product Owner. These are given by Agile Alliance. Now the problem with, as I told you, it doesn't have the rigor. So it's like a 2-day workshop, and you will go there, you just sit and listen to the PPTs. At the end of the PPT, end of the workshop, you will get your certificate. Now, end of the day, it's as good as, you're buying a certificate. Well, personally, I don't have a sense of achievement. I like to earn things rather than just sitting, and getting a certificate. So as I said, ACP has a lot of rigor and it's valued a lot. And you won't find many ACPs, around the world. I think as of today in India, I think, I don't know, maybe around 2,000, 3,000 people are there. That's all. Not much ACPs are there. Okay, any more questions? Great. So no more questions, I assume. So then, with your kind permission, can we end this webinar? Can I have a quick poll on whether I can end this webinar? Do you have any more questions? Okay, no questions. Great. So what I will do is, if you have any questions or queries, please, it's not necessary, you have to ask it now. Maybe later on if something strikes your mind, feel free to write to Edureka and we'll be glad to, answer your question. Great. So if you don't have any more questions, so then I can, stop this webinar. Okay, Jaya is asking for the list of the books. Okay, if you go to slide, the slide number, here about the PMI-ACP exam, I've given you a link here. Okay, and this link, takes you to the reference material, and these are the list of books you have. These are the books you can go through it. And there's also another great book. I'm just writing it here. It's Mike Griffiths. Okay. I'm just pasting it here, Mike Griffith's PMI-ACP book, that you get it, this book looks like this, This is also a great book, You can go through this book here. This is also a great book, this one. You can go through this also. And alternatively, you can go through these books also. Okay. Have I answered your question, Jaya? Okay, great. So, and see, the thing is that, some of these books here, they are pretty detailed. So, they are not light reading. Lot of fundamentals are there. A lot of concepts are there, which I'm sure, will be new to you. So read them attentively. But if you have understood those concepts, I think it's going to be a very, very good investment for life, not necessarily for PMI-ACP. It's going to be a good investment for your professional life. So strongly recommended you read those books. Okay, and as I said before, this PPT as well as the recording for this particular session will be shared to you within the next 24 hours. Okay, so don't worry about it. You will get this PPT, you will get also the recording of this session, and you can go through it offline later on whenever you want. Okay, so that's it, folks, from me. So I thank you very much for your time, and thank you very much for coming here late in the evening and spending your time with me. Well, yeah, Jaya is asking that Mike Griffith's book does not have the first domain. Yeah, it does not have the first domain. For that, I'm sure, the Edureka courseware will be more than enough for you. Okay. And the best thing about Mike Griffith's book, see, the thing is, Jaya, you won't get everything in a book. Okay. Even in our university exams, we saw, one book is not enough. For certain things, we read certain books. For certain other things, we read another book. So it's not necessary that, you will get everything in one book. Maybe if you can get 90%, I think that's a good deal. Maybe the remaining 10% you have to search elsewhere. And Edureka course, covers all the domains. So you can use My Griffith's book as a supplementary. Okay, you want to know the train. Poonam wants to know who is the trainer. Okay, yeah, I think you will get to know about the trainer, and but that's something, Poonam. I suggest, in when this webinar ends, you'll be taken to a page. Please spare. It won't even take 1 minute. It won't even take. I doubt it will take a minute. It's just 4 questions have been asked. You can just give your opinion there. There are options, and also there is a text. Please mention in the text this particular point that it will be good if we know the trainer in advance if we get their profile. So that will be I think that will help Edureka a lot. Okay, it's an excellent question, Poonam, because a lot of people would have this question. Great. So thank you very much for your time, and all the best for your exams. So I hope to see all these names here, as PMI-ACP certified. Good luck and God bless you. I hope you come out with flying colors and are highly proficient, and you feel proud about yourselves and your achievement. Okay, all the best and good night. Have a great weekend, and I hope you achieve your goals very soon. Okay then, good night.